Good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you are and what time you're watching this video from. I'm Sam Price from Oak's Skimboards here in, well, not currently in the Bay of Islands right now, but in Whangarei region, New Zealand. I'm pretty much just going to give you a little tutorial about how to ollie onto a rail. Now there's a few key things to this we're going to go over quickly. I'm going to try to keep all this as brief as possible. Firstly, the board, which my board right here, as you can see, is pretty much just a standard OXST model slip easy. I'll be listing details of certain things online. What you want from your board is you want a board that doesn't flex too much, slides on a rail obviously, because not all boards are going to slide. Like a basic varnished plywood baseboard is not going to slide very well on pressure pipe of a rail. You want something that doesn't fall apart, and you want something that you can trust, and that's also a big one with something that I regard as potentially quite painful and quite dangerous thing to be doing. The next one is of course your rail and your rail construction. Now this is important. You want something sturdy. You don't need something completely overbuilt that you can't move around. I'll show you this one right here. We've got PVC pressure pipe on the top, as you should always use. You need proper pressure pipe because you don't want it to be breaking or compressing under you, because compressing is just going to adhere more to the base of the board and not slide. I won't show you the front because I am missing a screw and it looks a bit shoddy, I've just found out. Pretty basic construction, plywood sides, just some whatever pieces of wood you can get to go across. Just needs to be sturdy enough, pretty much, I would say, to fall on the top of it. Now a lot of these safety things, what I say sturdy enough to fall on the top, is the last thing you want is that thing to collapse as you're falling on top of it, because trust me, you will fall on the top of these things. I tend to just screw straight through the pipes to get the rail on. It doesn't, to get the screws down, it doesn't matter if you've got a few holes in there and you're using skate or candle wax to help with the slide on the top of the pipes, just a little bit like what the skaters use. They rub it on curbs, helps with the slide. You put that on as often as needed. You don't need to lay it on super thick. Obviously you're only hitting the very top of the pipe, so you don't need it all over the pipes. That's pretty basic, pretty self-explanatory. And lastly, one of the biggest things, and probably the most important thing, is setting yourself up in a good tidal pool. I've done this for a few years. I'm pretty rusty at the moment, but one thing that gives me and makes me incredibly nervous if you're set up in moving water, so the depth of the water is changing often, because you're really just trying to minimize risk for yourself, because when it goes bad it can go pretty bad, and we don't want that to happen. So I'm set up here. You can see the backdrop here, beautiful Whangarei coast. I'm set up here in a tidal pool, but this tidal pool today is not quite big enough. I would also prefer a little bit more depth to it, but it works, and I'm happy for that today. As you can see on the run up here, it's actually a beautiful run up. It's nice and shallow, therefore nice and fast. And as we're coming into the ollie hole, now what you want in front of the rail is a nice depth of water to ollie out of. You don't want it too shallow, because I'll go you over how actually an ollie works. Now it's very different than skateboarding, and ollie works in skimboarding, and I'll try to give you some close-up shots with this. You're working on the compression of the water, which basically means the board's pressing down, compressing into the water, and it's that resistance from the water that's pushing you and the board up. What you don't want it too shallow, because therefore you'll hit the bottom and it'll adhere to the board and move the board around under your feet. You don't want it too deep, because that deep usually means slow, and you also don't want to be you yourself going really slow. You can't ollie properly if you're going really slow, so speed is your friend here. The other thing with speed too is typically if you fall going fast, you typically fall after the rail, and that's what we want, because the sand is softer than a wooden box. And all we're looking at here is on the run up. You can see the front of the rail here. I build all mine to, I think, 300 mils height with the pipe on top. I think that's like my standard height for any ollie on. And all we're doing is we're running at this. Trust me, when you learn this, it's terrifying. The first time I ever did it, I'd never seen a person in real life do it in front of me, and I still remember the fear of doing it. I haven't done it in quite a while today, and there's a fair bit of fear here inside me, so that's perfectly normal. do some test runs, make sure your run's all good, make sure there's nothing that's sticky or going to catch you on your way in. So I always do a few runs through the run towards the rail just to make sure of that, and sort of just protect yourself, because you want to eliminate any form of silly mistakes while running at these, and then have a really good session.
Quick commercial break time. If you're looking for one of the best boards in the business, get along to skimboards.co.nz, where you'll find a huge range to suit all sizes, all types, all levels of riders, for flatland skimming and wave skimming. All boards are handmade here in the Bay of Islands, New Zealand, and everything can be viewed on the website and is available to ship to your door immediately. Now, back to the video.
And like anything in skimboarding, this takes time. You will not improve with skimboarding if you're not out there skimboarding, and that's probably my biggest tip for all things skim related, is that you got to get yourself on the board and get out there and amongst it. I'm going to have a little session. I'm not going to focus too much on banger clips today because I'm pretty much a bit rusty, so we're just going to get a couple runs in. I'm going to show you a couple of like close-up shots, slow down ones, and you get an idea of what's going on in front of this rail, because you don't actually have to get, this is probably my last bonus tip actually, you're not trying to ollie up way up in here and clear the whole board. As long as, I mean, I don't know, half of the board is clearing the front of that rail, you're going to slide up onto there. You're not going to collide with that. It's when the worst thing that can happen to you here is not get the nose of your board up above that. And I mean, you'll find out. I don't need to tell you what happens. Lastly, if you're looking for your own board, feel free to get along to skimboards.co.nz. I have a huge range of flatland boards, huge range of foam boards for the waves. I've got a huge variety of videos on this channel, which I'm hopefully going to do a lot more tutorial skimboarding videos here, so feel free to subscribe, feel free to drop any comments you have down below. That's it, I'm going to get into the session. I'm Sam Price, I'll see you at the beach.
Of a live bomb on the bridge where the tide can't flow, snap vivid like the Nikon. Been cold with the vibe warm, keep it locked like the vice arm. They got her twisted like the coat arm, heart something froze like the snowstorm. Her tote bag match her throat charm. She from the land of the sand where they flex so subtle when her drink mint muddle. Left home in her man in the game that he played for the sand of the shade. She parades you to square in her shades. She like why you do that, niggas be deceptive. Yeah, I'm pretty restless. Long as the check is addressed to a residence. She self-heal therapy. She beat 10 on clearance, but she shopping for clarity. Reap what she sold for the dividend. Know what time is the medicine. Copping the wristwatch, Cartier with the bezel on the credit. Demanding hers where it's due. I swear she's so sadistic, defensive, pessimistic, reclusive. She too lit, independent. She too quick to dismiss courtship. Concerned with malice. She pile up as the bout ends. She throws a talent. She clutch a half full chalice. If you from fountains, check her rap.